Ghana Means Business, brought to you by GhOIL. GhOIL, good energy.
Ghana Means Business. Your story, our message.
Iain Walker has been the UK's High Commissioner to Ghana since August 2017. Before this, he was a board member of the Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office in London as the Director of Finance and Strategy. After studying law at the University of Dundee, Scotland, Iain moved to London, where he qualified as a chartered accountant with Ernst & Young, focusing on banking and capital markets. He worked for an international non-government organization in Malawi and Kenya, and then for the UN in Ethiopia, before he returned to London, working in the Prime Minister's delivery unit, initially for Tony Blair and then Gordon Brown. Arriving in Ghana on our 60th year of independence, Iain's priority has been to build upon and sustain our strong historical ties and focus on shaping the future of the Ghana-UK partnership in the next millennium.
Every now and again, GhOIL makes good things happen. This time, GhOIL has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GhOIL Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GhOIL Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GhOIL Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GhOIL Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GhOIL has that sorted. GhOIL, good energy.
Ghana Means Business. Your story, our message.
Thank you for coming on our show, Ghana Means Business. Mr. Ambassador, the High Commissioner to Ghana from the United Kingdom, His Excellency Iain Walker, we cannot thank you enough.
Pleasure is mine. Akwaba, welcome to my residence, my home.
Thank you. Ghana and Great Britain have a history going back since the 18th century, and the warm reception that Ghanaians have for the United Kingdom was evident in 1961 when Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II came to Ghana. The rapturous reception she received was unparalleled in our history, and I think she came back again in 1999. Since then, a lot of the members of the royal family have come to visit Ghana. What is this relationship between the royal family and Ghana?
It's a good question. We had His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales here in 2018, and we also had the Earl of Wessex's brother, Prince Edward, here at exactly the same time, which was a good challenge for my team and I. And we've had the Princess Royal here. You're right, I mean, there's been many royal visitors. I think it's because there is a very deep affinity to this country. And the royal family in many ways embody the UK in terms of not the political leadership, but the values for which the country stands, and the importance, I think, of friendship, of long-term ties, about looking towards a future which is built on often shared values. So when one thinks of the UK, you think of often tradition, the rich culture, often embodied through the royal family. I think when you think of Ghana, we think of the tradition, the rich culture, often embodied through many of the traditional leaders.
There's a lot of shared value.
So I think there's a lot of real shared common interest there. And I have to say, it's been having the Prince of Wales visit while I've been High Commissioner has been easily one of the highlights of my time here. I will forever remember going up to see a Chimfo at his palace and the Durbar in Kumasi, it was incredible, absolutely unforgettable. And I know the Prince of Wales felt the same way. The whole visit was sensational, but there's something about, ultimately countries they're led by, or they at least comprise people. And it's the people-to-people connections that really matter. And somehow, I'm pleased to say that our people seem to click.
So what was the greatest highlight of his visit? I mean, as far as you are concerned.
Oh gosh, there was many. So the Durbar was certainly one.
The Durbar in Kumasi.
In Kumasi, that was certainly one.
With His Majesty Otumfuo Asantehene in
exactly.
presence, and all the paramount chiefs and other
all the
chiefs
paramount chiefs. I mean, it was just
the culture.
It was a blizzard of noise, of colour, energy, excitement, and structure. I mean, I think I remember sitting on the days with the kind of the Prince of Wales next to me, and it was, on the face of it, really kind of chaotic scenes, really joyful and jubilant, but chaotic. And then Otumfuo Asantehene came in, and all of a sudden, whoop,
all the noise.
And everyone was clearly sitting in protocol order. Everyone was sitting, all the kind of palanquins were in the right place. The chiefs and the paramount chiefs were all. It was just amazing. So that was a real highlight. But there was many others. I mean, he was here for 4 days, so the whole programme was packed. I mean, I think another real highlight was the banquet we had at Jubilee House, hosted by His Excellency the President. Vice President was there, former Presidents Kufuor and Rawlings were also there. We had a fashion show beforehand. So by putting a fashion show on, we were trying to, I think, get this kind of sense that, yes, we respect traditions and those dinners matter, but actually we had Christy Brown.
Oh, okay.
We had Edward Enninful.
Okay.
We had Oswald Boateng, Brit Ghanaians who are leading the world in fashion. And they were modelling, and they had their clothes that were being modelled. It was a great event, but perhaps the highlight, and really symbolically, was when the presidents asked the Duchess of Cornwall up to dance.
Oh wow!
And it was really reminiscent.
What was it? What would you remember? Was it to a High Life?
It was High Life. Yeah, it was High Life was playing, and what was really, it was lovely. It was so natural. It was beautiful. But what was really interesting was how reminiscent it was of Nkrumah.
I see.
Dancing with the Queen.
Queen Elizabeth. That is true.
I mean, it was
1961.
I have to say, I was sitting thinking, crikey, this feels like a one. But so there was many other bits we did. We had lots of events on things with cocoa. We had lots of other areas on plastics and sustainability that the Prince of Wales has cared about for a long time, and we feel we're dealing with like-minded people on those issues where people are trying to do the right thing and trying to find ways of how do we work together and help each other. Feels really important. And we had various things with schools on things like literacy, outreach events, and it was actually his 70th birthday when he came. So
so he celebrated his 70th birthday
here in his garden, and it was great. I mean, it was a tremendous time, a real highlight for sure. So I think these visits matter for the event itself, but they of course matter for what happens in the follow-up. And that's been a big kind of focus in the period since the Prince of Wales was here, particularly on focusing on the diaspora and how we really make that, I think, increasingly the centrepiece of how the UK and Ghana works together across lots of different sectors. It's not new, but I think it's, we often think about prominent music stars. We often think about promising, famous football stars, Andre Ayew, various others in the Premiership. But actually the size and scale of the diaspora goes through everything, whether it's
for Ghanaians in the diaspora, especially those in the UK, what would be your message to them? Is it time for them to come home? And are there specific interventions that you feel they should make, or you feel that they should harness the opportunities in the UK and try and bridge the gap?
So I think that the diaspora are the bridge between the UK and Ghana. They know the UK and they also know Ghana. And they're already working in sectors that are highly relevant in both countries. Health, education, technology, financial services, pharmacy. Pick your area that you know is a priority in each of our countries, and members of the diaspora are already playing prominent roles. So for me, I think it's less about whether or not they, come back to Ghana or stay physically in the UK. I think it's that actually they have a really important role, I think, in how we can really change and think in a much more modern, connected way about what we want to see from each other's countries. And I've really seen that. I maybe think of healthcare in particular, where I've really seen that, where we've seen so many prominent medics who are in Great Ormond Street, or they're in Royal Liverpool, wherever. But they've come back and they're now working here, or they're now coming back and doing work for a month here, or they are doing training between hospitals here and hospitals in the UK. And I've seen that with Cannesburn in Glasgow and the burns units at Corlebu. And I really do think that for me, we're in the foothills of that. It doesn't have to be the diaspora, but I think we're in the foothills of that. I think that the real opportunity is not, for me, is not always going to be in the future, what does government do to government? It's about how do we get these partnerships going between Cannesburn Hospital and Corlebu, so they can have experts working with each other, training each other, supporting each other, not one way, but both ways.
In 2020, there was the UK Africa Summit, which His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, Ghana's president, attended. I'm sure there were a lot of trade, investment, business interactions. Has there been any follow-ups? Are there any success stories after that in terms of the private sector? Has there been any meaningful and concrete success stories that one can point out to say that arising out of this summit, this is what came out of it?
Yeah, no, so 100%. So I think there's a number of really quite specific, I'd say, deals came through on the back of it. But beyond that, a lot of kind of proper discussion between heads of state, between President here and our Prime Minister, about what our real priorities are, so we can organise our government effort and our private sector effort accordingly. But on the first part about where we've seen progress and real change, in Kumasi, Kajetia market is out of the ground. We're seeing it coming out of the ground. If you look at Kumasi Airport, there's a brand new terminal, there's a new runway. These things are being done deliberately. Why? Because we really do believe that Kumasi is an essential, really important second city. It's all itself a regional hub.
Kajetia market,
yeah,
Kumasi Airport,
yeah,
and I think GE Oil and Gas UK,
yep,
with Cape 3 Points.
Yep.
These are all projects that are being financed by UK companies or
yes,
the UK government.
So it's a combination of both. So what they're being funded by, in a large part, is through drawing on UK export finance. And I think this is one of the keys, I think, to us getting more and more closer proximity. So UK export finance is ostensibly saying that the UK government's, with the Treasury sitting behind it, is AAA rated. So we are standing behind the government of Ghana on these UK export finance credits guarantees. So the best way I can describe it to people is if companies are trying to borrow money here in Ghana, the interest rate can be, 20%, 25% higher, arguably. But when we have UK export finance sitting behind it, we are able to kind of really massively reduce that credit risk and take 10 percentage points and more often off the kind of cost of borrowing, which means that projects that are otherwise too expensive to fund become affordable. And what we do on the kind of side of that is that we ask for 20% UK content, but what we are finding is that actually, in the case of Kajetia market, it's cheaper to be buying steel from the UK than it is to be buying steel from China. But without this kind of way of kind of getting engaged, I think people were instinctively thinking we have to get this from China, we have to get this from somewhere else. And we're saying actually there may be better options, you must look around. But actually trying to bring more UK supply chain in where it's kind of effective and good value to do so is key. But it's the financing, I think, that unlocks it. So Kajetia market's a good example, the airport's a good example, Tamale Airport is another good example. We're also looking at building about a £300 million water processing facility up in Yapi. So there's a range of projects, not all of them through UK export finance, but where we're starting to now see, I think, really great companies, and they're not coming here deploying a workforce. They're not coming here, they're working in partnership, building capability, capacity in Ghana, where we're drawing on, say, I don't know, some project management expertise, structural management expertise, steel that is not currently available in country, and doing that with Ghanaian companies, with local partners, and making it happen. So I think there are real success stories that have come out of the investment summits, but I really do believe that.
But how do we sustain it?
That's the point. We must keep a big focus on, not just on. So I feel, we must keep a focus on real investment.
Every now and again, GhOil makes good things happen. This time, GhOil has introduced Super XP Ron 95, a higher grade fuel loaded with additives and yet sold at the same price as normal fuel. GhOil Super XP Ron 95 enhances engine performance like never before. It maintains the engine by keeping it clean from carbon deposits. GhOil Super XP Ron 95 is designed to burn slowly and thus improves fuel economy, making you save money after several kilometers. GhOil Super XP Ron 95 gives you a smooth driving experience, that is, less vibrations. Fill up with GhOil Super XP Ron 95. Now there's no need to pay more for any higher grade fuel. GhOil has that sorted. GhOil, good energy.
Ghana means business. Your story, our message.
If the private sector must lead, how should Ghanaians or Ghanaian investors and businessmen position themselves to take advantage of all these innumerable opportunities that exist between the partnership, Ghanaian and UK investors and businessmen?
So I think there's two parts to that. I think, you were saying, is it the public sector, is it the government, or is it the private sector? And I think the real answer is it's how they work together. Because I think, government in Ghana, government in the UK has a really important role in this in terms of being clear about the policy objectives in Ghana. We look to the government for that. In the case of the UK, through our commitment to development and development financing, that's a UK government commitment, and we want to make sure that that delivers well. But I think we're really clear that for anything to be truly sustainable, it has to be private sector, it has to be. And it's where we've got to keep having smarter and smarter conversations, because whilst the UK and Ghana is very similar in many ways, it's not identical. We do things differently. And that's not a good thing or a bad thing, we just do things differently. We need to be kind of eyes open about that. So in the UK, the government in much of this sphere takes more of a step back. The government would be more involved in setting the regulatory environment. It would be less directive in particular investments, and it would be less of a participant in a lot of the economy. In Ghana, there's a closer proximity between the government and the private sector than there is in the UK. So how we find a way of making sure that when we're talking about, Ghana moving beyond aid and therefore looking to get into road construction, say, which we are, the UK are heavily involved in the building of the road from Tema to Aflao, for example. The UK government plays a role because we need to make sure we're prioritising export finance, or that we are prioritising development funding. There's different elements of that, and we play a role. And for the government of Ghana, they also play a role because they need to be clear that this genuinely is a priority. It's something that the government itself is leaning in behind. But how we then recognise this isn't a government-to-government discussion, it's one that has to involve private sector partners on both sides with the government, and we realise these issues are complex and we've got to find a way of navigating through them. So I think it's quite important that we bring these stakeholders together, not in an abstract sense, but focused on, if we want to build a road between Accra and Kumasi, that doesn't have to be with the UK, but with all partners. I don't think this is about the UK. I think this is about how do we get international partners working with the government of Ghana, being open, transparent, engaging, setting out the goals. We're trying to build the road from here to here. Here's what the government would like to do. Here's the kind of participation we're looking for from others. I think you'll find that things open up really quickly, and we're seeing that in certain areas. And I really do give credit to the government for the progress they're seeking to make. But more and more, I think, will become important.
But you will agree with me that there are two major setbacks. One is the perception, very high perception of corruption. Perception. And when you have such a high perception of corruption, it's a major setback. The other thing is the way politics, partisan politics, has crept into our governance structures such that once it is supposed to be private sector, it's more of partisan politics within that structure that is going to drive the private sector. How do we win with such a toxic combination?
So
how do we progress further?
So I definitely recognise what you are saying, and I think as I see it, you describe it as a perception of corruption. I think that the problem or the challenge is that the incentives are not often sitting in the right place. I think that.
Can you explain that?
So by which I mean that, for the incentives to be in the right place goes back to governance, and I think that it's really important that we clarify what is the role of government in a lot of these kind of transactions, because I think that private sector wants to deal with the private sector. They don't really often want to deal with the government. They would rather be dealing with the private sector. So the role of government then is perhaps to take a step back, to be the regulatory environment, to set out the rules of the game. And I think when we do that and separate those functions, actually it's more transparent. People understand their roles, and there's less of a sense of, well, what exactly is this person's role in the what are they doing? Why are they involved in this? What's their? I don't understand why they're part of this. And sometimes they might legitimately be part of that, and sometimes they might not. But it goes to this sense of, well, the rule. I think for me, the governance is the point that really needs to keep on getting clearer and clearer. And it's about transparency. It's about visibility. It's about, when we think of things like local partners.
And who must do that? Must it be the people, or must it be the institutions, or must it be our developmental partners? For example,
well, I mean,
do you think that the UK, as part of its aid or investment drive in Ghana, should attach certain KPIs to ensure that government is seen to be doing things that are above board? Because there's also the issue of China, where the Chinese are here in Africa, in their numbers. They've made major inroads. Most of the places they've been to, they've managed to even displace some of our colonial relationships. And simply because China, for the most part, is not so particular about certain things that Europe and America deem as prerequisites before they disperse investments or aid.
Yeah.
How do you rate this issue?
So I think a couple of things. I think first of all, I think the UK, we work with China in the UK, and we think China are we work closely with them in a number of domains, and we think in a globalised world, then it's quite right that China and other countries absolutely play a really important part. I guess I come from a starting point which says that for Ghana, it should be right for Ghana. So therefore, how do we find a way that means that the Ghana gets out of it what Ghana needs, and it doesn't feel there aren't choices? So my job for the last, I'd say, 4 years has been to make sure that the UK is present, that we are offering a credible alternative. No compulsion. We will never. Ghana is a sovereign, autonomous country. Ghana makes its own choices. I'm clear about that. But we want to make sure that the UK is a choice and a partner that Ghana chooses to kind of be with. And I think, to your question of, how do we get more rigour into the system? I don't honestly think that comes from development partners. I don't think we're in a place where we are dictating rules to countries, and that's a good thing, I think. But I think that when I listen to a lot of the debate, I think people want more and more accountability. Perhaps it's not for me to say, but perhaps less powers of patronage. I don't know. But these are constitutional matters. These are questions for Ghana. But I think the point you make about, with elections every 4 years, let me put it this way, with elections every 4 years and a history of Ghana changing government roughly every 8, I'm not making predictions, I'm just... it does mean that for projects of the kind that matter right now in Ghana, infrastructure, these are 20, 30-year projects. It's unlikely over a 20-year, 30-year period one party is going to be in power throughout. So therefore, almost by definition, there is going to be changes of government, which is a good thing, that's democracy. But it's really important that the people of Ghana don't pay the price for that every time the government changes, each of the parties. So therefore, I think that goes to the heart of saying, well, in my mind, how do you find the kind of governance such that the regulatory environment remains reliable, dependable, and not subject to the shifting tides of the government of the day? And I'm optimistic that will happen, but I think it needs to happen at Ghana's pace. And I feel that I've seen areas where things have improved. I see areas where one would like to see them move more quickly. But these are matters for Ghana. And I think that, I suppose what I would say, to summarise, is nothing is ever free, whether it's from China, whether any other country, or the UK. Development is the thing that's free. But we know that Ghana wishes to move beyond aid. So if we're looking to move beyond aid, we need to realise that if you believe in capital markets, people should make a return. If you're putting a lot of political risk of changing the rules, then you're adding price. And I think Ghana pays that price. And therefore I think that for me is the economic piece that I think keeping a good sense on stability during transitions, I think, really matters.
Clearly, a relationship that spans almost 300 years cannot be captured in one episode. So stay tuned, same place, same time, for part 2 of our interview with the British High Commissioner, His Excellency Mr. Iain Walker. Same place, same time, with Ghana Means Business. I am your host, Nana Fredia Ajimai Pamwo.